Science says only 8% of people achieve their goals. What makes some people successful and others stay stagnant? How do we identify the qualities and skills necessary to elevate our lives? Well, that's what I want to talk about. That's what my energy is all about. My goal is to help inspire people to be their best selves. These conversations will help people identify their best qualities, bring them out, and understand how to develop plans to achieve their goals. I'm Kayla B, and welcome to the Big Boss Energy Podcast. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Kayla B, and we are back with another episode of Big Boss Energy. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know we in here, and we definitely got a special guest today, so I'm really excited. But before we hop in, I really wanted to drop this quick tip because I thought this would be so crazy to have a guest on who can diversify our tech skill set. Y'all know y'all hear the tech sales thing from me all the time, but I think this wave of tech is super, super lit. It's a really cool niche. And in general, we're just at a disparity right now when you think about the fact that only 33% of the population has digital skills. And if you guys did not know, 14% of people have no technical skills at all, meaning they don't even know how to get online, they don't know how to use digital resources. And I think for where we are moving into this AI era, there is definitely ways that you can get involved in tech. So today's guest has over 300,000 followers across all her platforms. She is really making waves in the tech industry right now. And she is really bomb at telling people how to get into the government tech consulting business and that side of things. So I'm really excited. I got to give you your flowers, girl, but let's go ahead. We got Symone in the building. What's up, Symone B?
Thank you. What's up? What's up, Kayla? Thanks for inviting me out. You know, you reached out to me and I was like, I got to come on a podcast because I love everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And I love everything that you're doing. I feel like we got to stick together in the tech community and just run it up online because everybody is getting the tea on how they can break in, make over 6 figures and really run this up. So, you know, everybody wants to know what's going on, but I can only give my little tech sales advice. So I thought it would be really cool to have you on today to help the audience understand your industry a little bit more. So I want to get to know you a little bit more, though, because I see you online.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen the new G-Wag. We've seen all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to get to know you a little better today.
Okay,
so,
yeah, we can do that.
And I hope your audience can, too. So I know you got into tech at 16.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about first of all, that's a really young age to get into tech. So tell us how that all started.
Yeah. So basically, like, when I got into tech at 16, it was just me trying to skip class. That was it.
No way.
I swear. Like, so basically, I didn't like anything about school at all, besides like literally just being able to go play basketball, and that was it. So, you know, whatever way I could figure out how to get out of my classes, I was down for it. Right. So we had a vocational school in our school system, and you could go to, like, they had a networking class, and you can get your CCNA certification. Okay. They also had the computer IT class, which is the one I did. You can get your CompTIA A certification. They had cosmetology, firefighter, like they had all kinds of things, welding, all kinds of stuff, right? So if you went to that school, you could go every other day. And we weren't doing anything. We were like just doing worksheets, like, and just chilling all day. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna go to that. So I signed up for the program, and you know, we went there every other day. We were really just preparing for the CompTIA A certification. So, you know, throughout the whole time, you're just like studying and just practicing and just learning and doing hands-on things in the school. And I ended up getting my CompTIA A at 16. And after getting that, the teacher who was teaching the class, she had like connections with different like tech companies around, and I actually got my first Gov Tech internship at 16 years old because of that program. So like that's really how I got in, but I just did it because I was trying to skip class.
Yeah,
like that's it.
Crazy.
That's it.
Okay, so talk about that certificate. So what is that certificate for people who may not know and they're not from tech industry or whatever? Tell us about the CompTIA.
Yep. Yeah, so the CompTIA A certification is a basic IT certification. Okay. So it teaches you the basics of computers, like hardware, mostly software, and just being like really a help desk technician. Okay. So for us, like, we were learning it in high school, and it just helped us like just really get our foot in the door in tech, honestly. So I always say nowadays, like, people always ask, well, should I get the A+? Back when I got it, it was like $124. Like,
how much is it now?
It makes me sound old, right? I'm only 30, but it makes me sound mad old. but like I got it when I was 16, right? But now it's like $500.
Oh, wow.
So it's like to pay 500 and then have to study that long to do 2 exams. I just don't think it's worth it for most people if you're trying to get into tech. Like if you wanted to get a help desk job, you could always get the Google IT certification. It's basic, but it's going to help you get into help desk, right? Like if that's what you want to do. But I would definitely say skip the A+. Like
So you feel like that's like a more fundamental across the board type of cert. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I do feel like one of the main questions I get, and I'm sure you get, is should I go to college or should I get a certificate? And it's a very difficult question to answer, because I feel like it's definitely more case by case on the individual, your skill set, you know, like tons of things that come into play when you think about somebody's career. But I do feel like I always recommend, if you are trying to get a certificate, try to align it with the space or the skill set that you are trying to become an expert in, versus a general foundation type of cert.
Right,
so would you give that advice too? Or like, what's your advice around the general certs versus a dedicated type of certification?
Right, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I definitely think you should get like a more dedicated, more specific certification so you can become more specialized, right? So like I always tell people, like if you really want to get a job, you can get an administrator certification, right? So you could get Salesforce administrator, you can get Red Hat Enterprise Linux administrator, which is, if you want to get into Gov Tech, that's a great way to get in. You can also get, you know, ServiceNow administrator. There's a bunch of Microsoft admin certs, but those are great certs because it teaches you a skill set, right? Like you now know how to administer and basically just make sure that this application or software is running properly and all of the users can access it, right? You know, you're basically like the go-to person. You're pretty much the SME for that software or application. So it's an actual skill versus, you know, the general certifications where it's like, okay, you know, like CompTIA A+, is like, okay, well, now you know about computers. You know, that's not
that's
like,
it. That's not
it.
enough for an employer. And that's why I say that, because it's not enough for an employer. We live in a very certificate-centric vibe right now. And I feel like people have to really understand it's not enough for you to just know a basic fundamental skill. It's like, no, are you an expert, and do you have the actual capabilities to perform something in that specific skill set that you're getting the certificate for? But you mentioned Gov Tech a few times now. So I definitely want to figure out what is Gov, because I ain't on the federal side, the government side. So tell us, what is Gov Tech Consulting? And what, like you mentioned, so you said some of those certificates were really great skill sets that you can position for that. So what is it, and what skill sets do you feel like you need to enter that industry?
Yeah, definitely. So Gov Tech is basically government tech, right? So there's 2 sides of government tech, I would say. There's the federal government side, and then there's the government contractor side. I've worked on both sides. So like if you're trying to get into Gov Tech, I would definitely say that the best thing for you to do nowadays is really to get your Security Plus certification, so CompTIA Security Plus. And the reason being is because to work on government systems, it is a government requirement for you to have that certification. So they want everybody to be at the same basic foundational knowledge level when it comes to just keeping the government system secure, right? They don't want them getting hacked. They don't want, you know, like basic hacks to hack into government systems. So they want everybody to be like, have that same security knowledge when it comes to their systems. And just like when it comes to just Gov Tech in general, like really all it is, it's still tech, it's just government focused, right? So everywhere you look, right, you know, if you go onto usajobs.gov, you have different federal government jobs. But like for government contractors, basically what they do is the government doesn't really do work. So a lot of people don't know that, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They don't really do work.
What's the tax dollars going to?
Yeah, so the tax dollars really go to the government contractor companies to perform the work. So the federal government will say, hey, we need this new, like, let's say web application developed. The government's not going to be like, all right, we're going to put our software engineers on it. They're going to say, what government contractor company can do this work for us? Okay. And once they do that, they're going to say, all right, put in your bids. How much money is going to cost for you to do this work? How much resources do you need? What type of people? Like, who do you need to actually do this? So basically what they do, the government contractors, they put in their bids, and the government, they look at everybody's bids and proposals, and they decide like, okay, we want this company to win. So like the top government contractor companies are Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, Deloitte, Accenture, right? Booz Allen. It's so many of them, right? But like top 10, people really know about them. Yeah, so some of
that's
them are
a way
consulting.
to break in too.
Yep.
So you can go to like Deloitte or Accenture, and
Yep,
if you don't
or
know what
KPMG,
those are,
yep.
yeah, like so KPMG, Deloitte, Accenture, these are all companies that basically offer their contracting services when, let's say a company is trying to deploy a new project or stand up resources, they send in those consultants on a contractual job and basis at a certain rate to be able to do that, but you can go get a full-time job and do multiple projects working as a consultant at those companies, just for people who don't know.
Yeah, that's the consulting side, right? So like, it's funny because like a lot of companies have a commercial side and a federal side. So people don't know that, but there are some companies that are literally like mainly all they do is just only federal, right? Like Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, but Booz Allen and KPMG, Accenture, Deloitte, you know, obviously they're on both sides. Like those are the big four, right?
Yeah.
They have commercial and federal. So it's like, it's crazy, like how many ways you can get into like government tech, because you could start on the commercial side and then make your way over to the federal side and get government clearances and things like that.
So what would you say is the major difference between both of those sides?
Yeah, so the major difference between like commercial and federal is, one, for commercial, you know, you're not bidding on like federal contracts, right? You're not working with the government at all. It just would be other business to business, you know, B2B or B2C, right? But when you're working on the federal side, like you're working with the federal government. Like,
So you mentioned the clearances a bit. So talk about the security clearances, because, well, one, for people who do not, because I already know what a security clearance is, so I gotta, you know, remind myself. But so one, tell everybody what a security clearance is and kind of like the process to go through to get cleared. And what that allows you to do in the federal space. Yeah,
so government clearances, like a lot of people are really scared of government clearances. So I'll just start there, right? They can be intimidating, definitely, because there's like different levels to it, right? So basically a government clearance, it just is the government saying like, okay, this person, we trust them enough with our secrets, right? So our classified information, this person, we trust them enough, they can get access to it. But you know, let's say they don't trust you, then, you know, you probably will never get a government clearance, right? And when you go through that government clearance background, it's just like a long background check. So they give you this long form. It used to be paper, but now it's all electronic. And you do this long form called the SF-86. And they ask you where you've lived for the past 10 years. They ask about your family members, your citizenship, where you traveled, like drugs you've done, all kinds of things, right? They ask about your credit score. Like they want to know all kinds of things. So when it comes to the government clearances, like I said, there's different levels. Like there's a public trust, which is just a basic background check you can get in a couple weeks. There's a secret clearance, which is a little bit more in depth. They'll come and do interviews. Like they'll come and interview your mom, your friends, like stuff like that. So people, they get nervous. And then once you get to the level where it's like top secret and up, you might have to do a polygraph where they strap you up to a polygraph test and they want you to answer questions like, hey, like, I can't say exactly what they ask you, but they want you to answer questions and they're going to be looking to see if you're lying.
A lot deeper.
They really, like, and the thing about government clearances is they're not hard to pass. You just have to tell the government the truth. Like, that's it. So don't be lying. Don't lie to the government because they're going to find out, right? Like that's the main thing. Like don't lie to them. You got to be a U.S. citizen. You can't have too much personal debt. And you typically, like, if you have felons or if you have felonies, it's going to be very hard to get a clearance. So typically I usually say, like, if you have felonies, you probably won't be able to get one.
Dang. Well, now y'all know, if you want that clearance, don't go up there lying because they're going to find out. But no, that's really cool. So do you feel like it ups your pay? Like what's the benefit? So get into like what the clearance, because it might be worth it. You know, people might be scared or apprehensive just hearing that, but what is the benefits?
No, huge benefits to clearances, right? Only 1 in 5 people have a government clearance. So if they're looking for people who already have clearances, like you're automatically off the bat, like the average person who has a clearance makes $90,000. And I believe the average person who works overseas, we haven't talked about this yet, but the average person who works overseas makes about $130,000 a year. So for you having that qualification that most people don't have, it just sets you apart, right? Because if they need somebody fast who has a clearance, like you can get bonuses up to like $60,000 just for having a clearance. Amazon, they actually have what's called a mission bonus, right? So they reached out to me, they wanted me to work on their GovCloud program. They have a mission bonus. If you get the clearance, you get paid an extra $45,000 every single year just for having a government clearance.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's like it pretty much pays to get the clearance.
It pays to get the clearance
Yeah.
and to keep it, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to lose it.
So do you have to do something to maintain it, like every so many years?
Yeah, so basically they'll do a reinvestigation every 5 to 10 years, depending on which clearance you have.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, like you kind, it's like a lifestyle choice, right? So if you have a clearance, you know, you're not supposed to smoke weed, you're not supposed to do any drugs, anything like that. So it's just like you just have to live more like straight and narrow lifestyle. But you know, I mean, I'm able to live my life. I don't really have any issues, right? It's just like that's the only thing I can't do. I don't smoke weed. You know, I'm not out here committing crimes like that. You know, that's pretty much it, right?
You can't be a PPP boy. I'm just like, but no, that is really cool. So you mentioned that you was overseas though. So I'm thinking the government is only domestic. So help us understand a little bit more about the overseas contracting because I would assume, and this is just maybe I may be ignorant, but I would assume you got to probably live in DC or, you know, in that area, the DMV, because that's where all the government stuff is located. But it seems like you can go overseas. So talk about how do you even position yourself for that? Or does it just come naturally with the clearance, those opportunities? Right.
So basically with the overseas government contracting, right? Like you are right. The easiest way to get into like Gov Tech is being in the DMV, like hands down. That's the easiest way. Almost all the work in the DMV is with the federal government, right? But when it comes to getting overseas opportunities, like the government, they have different projects and different systems overseas. So they need cleared Americans to work on these systems. Like literally only we can work on them. So I lived in Japan, I lived in Taiwan, and I lived in South Korea. So I was overseas for 5 years.
What was that experience like?
It was crazy. It was crazy. Like I moved to Japan at 24. I did not know.
Did they pay for you to move?
Yeah.
So what goes into it? Like,
Yeah.
What goes into it?
It's crazy. So when you go overseas, they like first they give you a bonus just for going overseas. So they give you money just to go. They pay for all your relocation. Typically you'll stay in a hotel. Like when I went to South Korea, I stayed in a 5-star hotel for like a month. Like I was at the Conrad in Seoul for a month and it was crazy.
What?
Yeah. I'm talking like my company Raytheon I used to work for, they pay like $6,000 every 2 weeks for me to live in that hotel. So they pay like $12,000 in a month just for me to live at the Conrad. Plus I had per diem. I don't know if your audience knows about per diem, but that's where like, you know,
they pay for the food.
They pay for the food. They pay for your car. They pay for everything.
So you got flued out.
Yeah, I got I got flued out by the government. Yeah, Raytheon they flew me out. Yep. So when you're overseas with the overseas government contracting, like it's just, you know, they pay for all your stuff. They pay for your living, your housing, your food, transportation, gas. You literally pay for nothing. And it's tax free up to $7,000 a year.
So you was not seeing taxes come out those biweekly checks.
Yes.
Because let me tell you about these taxes, they are serious. So talk about the tax-free aspect because it's not like you're going to come back and they're going to put that on your W-2. Like, look, you was overseas, you owe us some money. It really is just tax-free up to a certain amount.
Yep, up to a certain amount. So like there's a IRS law, I guess you would say. It's called the foreign income exclusion. So if you live overseas and you're overseas for 330 days out of the year, you don't have to pay federal taxes up to the first 107,000. So like let's say you go overseas and you make under 107, you don't owe any federal taxes like at all.
Wow, so you get to keep your full earning potential, which is insane.
Ooh, those paychecks they're crazy. Like literally when I was overseas in Taiwan, I was making about 8,000 to 9,000 every 2 weeks after taxes, after benefits, after everything. Like everything coming out. Because like I said, like, you know, there's no federal taxes, but what they do is like they know you're going to owe taxes. So to either the country that you worked in or they know you might owe extra, right? So I was making $225,000 a year. So obviously I'm going to owe some type of taxes. So what they'll do is take out hypothetical tax to make sure like at the end of like once it's tax season, you don't have a huge tax bill.
With a crazy tax
exactly. So your company will hold on to the money for you, and then you'll get reimbursed at the end.
But I mean, still being able to take $100,000 off of whatever you make in taxes obviously reduces your income so significantly that you're now in a different tax bracket.
Exactly. And then on top of that, like everything's free. So you saved on taxes and you saved on everything, right? So like I was able to save 80% of my income living overseas
because you don't have to pay your
rent. I don't have to pay nothing.
Wow. So you just pocketed it.
And they were paying for travel too. So it's like I mean it was just amazing. And so they're giving you money for everything. Family.
Yeah, you missed it a little bit.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy because it's like it's two sides of it. Some people, they literally go overseas and they never come back. Like I have a lot of friends who have been overseas for like decades and they will never come back. But you know,
but they're still an American citizen.
Yep, but they're still American citizens,
Okay.
but they don't ever plan on coming back to America, right? So there's people like that, and then there's people like me, where it's like, you know, my goal was to go overseas for 3 to 5 years, pay off all my debt, save up money, invest, and then come back home, and that's exactly what I did.
Awesome. So I know that you have started to teach people how to get into Gov Tech consulting. You know, you have a really big brand online. So would you say there was like a spark or some type of interest and like something clicked, like, okay, now I could put other people onto this? Like, where did that start, that journey?
Yeah, so it's really crazy, right? So I've been on Twitter since like 2012, and my whole thing was I felt like I believe that everybody could get into tech. You know, I believe that all black people could get into tech and that we should get into tech because there's so much more earning potential. And I already knew that, you know, AI was coming. This is back in like 2012. I knew AI was coming. I knew automation was coming, outsourcing, all of those things. So when I was in school I went to school for computer science. Okay. So when I was in school, I'm like literally like tweeting and telling people like, hey, you know, you all can make this money and you don't really have to go to college. And if you do, you can always get a company to continue to like pay for more education for you, right? So that's the real move people don't really like talk about. So that's really how, you know, I got into just talking about tech online. Was just I was always sharing my experience, sharing, you know, the money that I was saving, how I was investing, and people wanted to know more. So like for the longest time, I never offered consultations. I never offered anything, but they started like literally begging me,
Harassment.
like harassing, like literally like, hey, I want to do a consultation. Like, can you please put up a link, like drop a link, something so we can start, like, I want to work with you. Cause at the time I was literally like giving people free consultations in Twitter DMs. Like people reach out to me. I'm doing research. I'm sending them everything they need, give them everything they need, and like literally just like changing people's lives. So I've helped many people get overseas. I've helped hundreds of people make 6 figures. Like, and it just really all just started just from like tweeting and sharing my journey. Yeah.
No, that's really powerful that you can give insights to people in that sense and then change their lives like with simple DMs. Because I mean, the same thing with me. It's just like insane. I think the most fulfilling part is when you get those messages back and they're like, wow, I really like got a job, or I really went overseas, or I really, you know, X, Y, and Z off something you just told me and a strategy you put in place to me. So talk about, you know, what your course really offers now and like the strategy that it enables people to have. You know, is your audience more so people who may not have college degrees looking to break in, or just talk a little bit about your audience and how you've been actually able to help this many people break into the Gov Tech space? Right.
So basically like now how I see it, you know, it's been a long time since 2012, right? We're in 2023. Like nowadays you don't need a degree to break into tech or Gov Tech, really. Like, so if you have the right qualifications, whether it's like really the best way to do it is getting certifications and start trying to get internships or start trying to get full-time jobs and like really break into the industry, right? So the way that I got started helping people and what my program is doing now. So one, I have 2 programs, right? So I have a career coaching program, and that one is more just like, you know, bi-weekly coaching calls and working with them and helping them figure out like their career progression and where they want to go. And then my other program is my Gov Tech Accelerator. So with that one, I'm helping train people technically, helping them get their CompTIA Security Plus certification. I help them get their Red Hat Certified System Administrator certification. And then I really just help them become like Gov Tech ready, right? Because the thing when it comes to Gov Tech, there's a lot of different lingo, like things are very different. Most people in the industry have been in the military, and I've never been in the military, right? So that's something people think. They're like, you are a veteran? No, I've never served a day. So like I just help them really get Gov Tech ready, prepare for the interviews, help them find the jobs that are sponsoring clearances, because that's something that so many people don't know. Like they have no idea how to find these jobs. So I help them do that. And by just bringing all of those different things together, like really that's what the program like entails. So it's 8 months, help bring all that stuff together and then just help them get the jobs, right? And I've also partnered with a Gov Tech recruiter that helps them find jobs too. But like with the hundreds of people that I've helped over the past few years, like that was all from consultations, my career coaching program, and then now I've done like VIP coaching as well. And then now, you know, this Gov Tech Accelerator program. So like the goal is to help 1,000 people over like the next 2 years break into Gov Tech and get clearances because there's a lack of diversity. Recently, an article came out, and I believe there's less than 10% of Black people and minorities in Gov Tech companies, whether it's government contractors or just federal government in general.
Yeah. And talk about, so I think it's really cool because, like you mentioned, so in the whole tech industry in general, we only make up like 2 to 3% of the population as African Americans in this space. So it's obviously a little bit higher in Gov Tech more specifically, but how do you feel like this space can really enable people to be more financially free? Because I feel like for me, you know, I was able to buy my first home at 24 years old.
Yep.
I drive a 6-figure car now. Like, you know, you just got your new G-Wag, we've seen it. Congratulations on that, you know. But help people understand like the investments that are possible, the financial freedom from being able to allocate and put yourself in a position that can bring you this type of 6-figure job.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that Gov Tech is one of the best ways to do it. Like, so what a lot of people don't know, like my dad, he joined the military at 17. Okay. And like, it changed his whole life. It changed his life, my life, right? Like, so he was the one who kind of like was telling me like, you need to do something. Like you got to do more than play basketball and video games. Like you got to do something else. So it was really life changing for him because he's from Louisiana. Like he's from literally like the country. Like he left at 17 to go join the Air Force, and he was able to get into the IT like part of Air Force, right? Okay. So he did that. Shoot, my dad, he's been making over 200K for like 20 years now. Wow. Like, and then I got into Gov Tech, my little brother's in Gov Tech, I helped my cousin go overseas. So it's like, literally it's a generational wealth thing, right? You're able to spread the knowledge and help other people get into the industry and really just help more people like save and invest, right? Like, so just like you said, you bought your first house at, you said 24. Yeah, I bought my house at 22, right? Like I bought a $330,000 townhouse at 22 years old in the DMV from being in Gov Tech, right? And then being able to save and invest all this money, like it just gives you so many opportunities because this industry is not going anywhere, right? Like Gov Tech has been around for about 100 years. Like my CPA was telling me that government contracting is how majority of the big investment firms made their money back in the day. Like about 100 years ago, they invested in the Lockheeds, Raytheons, all of those companies. That's how they really made their money. So like, as long as the U.S. government is here, you know, Gov Tech is it's not going anywhere. So
I doubt they're going to get away with the
exactly, you know, if they get rid of the government, we got bigger problems, right? So
then going into tech.
Then going into tech. So it's like, it's so secure, right? Like once you get a government clearance, once you start getting this type of Gov Tech experience, you have no issues getting a job, like ever. Like there's always people looking for people that have clearances, always.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. So on a personal note, you know what I mean? We didn't delve into all the tech stuff. It's just like, how did you, was that your dream car, like your new G-Wagon?
Yeah, that's one of my, so I'm real big into cars. Okay, so
that's like your thing?
I love cars. So like the G-Wagon was huge for me. Like when I got the G-Wagon, I honestly couldn't believe it. Like, cause I had to fly to Houston. I just dropped the vlog on it and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely my dream car. You know, it's like, that's something that you always wanted, and I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it by like 30. So, you know, with all the investing and saving, because like a lot of people don't know this either. Like I was big in crypto. Like I got in crypto in 2017. Oh, wow. So when I was in Japan, like I bought my first Bitcoin. Like I put a lot of money in. I made a lot of money in crypto.
When Bitcoin went up.
When Bitcoin, like I bought my first Bitcoin at $1,600.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and it went to like
60K.
60,000. No,
so like
crazy.
That and NFTs. Like I had a Bored Ape, all that. Like I got into all of these things very early on, and I really think a lot of it has to do with like because the money I had from Gov Tech. Honestly, I mean.
What motivated you to get so financially literate, you would say?
Yeah, so what motivated me was like I've always wanted to reach financial freedom, right? Okay. Because it's one thing to make all this money, but it's a whole nother thing to like not have to work if you don't want to work, and be able to like just travel and really just be able to decide what you want to do with life. Like even now I work for a cybersecurity startup. We have all government customers, right? I work on the federal side. So we have all government customers. I work from home. I get to travel whenever I want. I get to pretty much do whatever I want because you know it's remote. You work remote, right? So like I'm able to do that, and I make $275 a year. So I'm able to do that. do everything I still do with social media, my other investments. It was like, it just gives you just lifestyle freedom.
Right.
So with the financial freedom, it allows you to have options. It allows you to do what you want to do in life, and then really just not have to like stress too much, right? Because you want to be, I did all this to be able to take care of myself and my family, really.
Yeah. Awesome. So what advice, I always like to end my episodes like this. So what advice would you have for somebody who's young or just in a predicament where they're like, I want to make a change in my life and I'm really trying to attain financial freedom? What would you say are like 2 or 3 really good tips that you would give somebody like that to kind of achieve what you've done, like under 30, really put themselves in position for something like that?
Yeah, I would say first thing is like be patient. Like don't rush it, right? Because usually when you try to get into like the get rich quick stuff, you typically take like 5 steps back, right? So be patient, and then also do things that you know that work, right? So if you see people here, like I'm sure there's people coming on your podcast, you see people in tech sales, you see people in Gov Tech, cybersecurity, whatever it is, like do things that you know that work, and then just start saving and investing that money and just stay consistent, right? But do not get caught in the like get rich quick stuff and just like jumping around from like thing to thing and play to play. Like I personally think it's way better now to just like save, invest in the real estate stocks, and then, you know, whatever you do on the side, that's what you decide to do. But like you can't go wrong with real estate and stocks.
Right. I agree. Real estate, stocks, just staying focused, having a consistent plan. I love all that advice because I think one of the major things, I used to be that person that was always trying to hustle and trying to figure it out. And I realized the only way that you're really going to attain this financial freedom is if you lock into one thing and really drive that to a maximum capacity, because then that opens the door to so many other opportunities versus trying to balance and funnel a little bit here, a little bit there. You know what I mean? So I really love that advice.
Yeah. And then also too, like when people say like 7 streams of income, it doesn't have to be 7 different things. It could be one thing. It could be all in the same vertical. Like everything could be tech related, or everything could be like, if you're in real estate, it could all be real estate related. Like I would say definitely stay away from like the, I'm in this, I'm in that, I'm in this. Like just try to keep it consistent. Just have a bunch of streams in one vertical.
Right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you for stopping by the Big Boss Energy podcast today. You gave us some really great gems, and I truly appreciate you. Congrats on your new car.
Thank you.
And everything you've been doing. And I really hope you hit your goal of 1,000 people in the next 2 years, because that'll be really impactful for our community, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Kayla. Thanks for inviting me out, and go follow me on all platforms at Symone Beez. So SYMONE BEEZ.
Awesome. I'll have all her information below, and that is another episode of Big Boss Energy.